Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community and the Ethereum space. My name is Wack. Today is May 6th, and today's episode is going to be talking about PECTRA. The hard fork, of course, is tomorrow, so we're going to be running through that stuff. There's a whole lot to talk about there. On the Rocket Pool side, we are going to be talking about the STAR program. We're going to be talking about NodeSet and how they're doing stuff in the staking news. And then with Ethereum side, we are going to be talking about ever greater steps towards decentralization. And we're going to be talking about Laura Shin's Unchained podcast and some of the stuff that's been coming out of that ecosystem recently. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Okay, so I said that, we're not going to start with Rocket Pool news. We're going to start with PECTRA news, but here there's a post from Rocket Pool that is relevant. So Rocket Pool protocol put out a tweet saying that Ethereum's PECTRA upgrade goes live in 24 hours. So this is from earlier today, and they said that Rocket Pool node operators must be running Smart Node version 1.15.5 or 1.15.6 to support the hard fork. And then Langas, who's the general manager of Rocket Pool, will be on the Nethermind live stream, taking part in that and kind of giving commentary, I guess, when called upon. I guess talk about staking stuff that's in PECTRA that we're going to be talking about in a minute. But this is a reminder to you all who are node operators. If you are a node operator and if your software has not been updated in the last couple of weeks, pretty much, then do that right now. As soon as you're listening to this, pause the recording, go and update your software. I spent time earlier today updating the software on my nodes. It's really easy depending on like what systems you run. You can either update them with clients manually. Remember, you not only have to update your consensus and execution clients, but if you're running MEV Boost, you'll have to update that too. The latest versions of all of these software are out for being ready for PECTRA. Now, live stream, there's going to be 2 live streams. We're going to be talking about the second one in a minute, but this one is from Nethermind, and they've got a live stream coming tomorrow morning, starting at 8 a.m. UTC time, and they're going to be delving into the main topics of PECTRA and giving feedback there. And yeah, the main thing about that you need to know is update your clients on your nodes if you are a node operator. If you are not a node operator, then just tune into one of the live streams and hope that everything goes smoothly. Of course, the PECTRA hard fork was the one that had all those problems in testnet with the incorrect configuration, like a couple of times, just messing things up and really slowing everything down. But we're on track for everything to go smoothly tomorrow. The hard fork was on Gnosis chain last week and it all went smoothly. So, the idea is that it should all go smoothly on Ethereum now. We're really excited about PECTRA because of all the cool changes it's going to bring to the protocol. Now, you might be wondering what changes are coming if you've been living under a rock for the last few months, while everything got finalized and tested. This is the update. So Ethereum.org Twitter account put out an update, and this is a guest thread from Binji saying that the biggest Ethereum upgrade since the merge is coming. This time you're going to feel it. It's called PECTRA, and this is why it matters. So there are a bunch of things that are going into PECTRA, and they'll matter to different people depending on what you're using. So it says the merge was for the protocol, PECTRA is for the people. For years, upgrades made Ethereum work better. PECTRA makes Ethereum feel better. It is Ethereum's glow up. So it's a really nice hype thread. So there are a few things that are going in PECTRA. And they said this is going to add up to be a lot. We're going to get fewer clicks. We're going to get smarter wallets, cheaper transactions, and cleaner staking. Let's break it all down. So I really love the presentation of this thread. It's really, really cool. So fewer clicks, more doing. So currently, if you want to transact with a token on Ethereum, for example, if you want to do a swap on Uniswap or somewhere else, you have to do something, or even like depositing into Aave. Like if you want to deposit, RETH, for example, you have to first approve that token leaving your wallet. And then once that transaction goes through, then you get another transaction that, you can actually do the stake or deposit or whatever swap that you want to do. So this approve plus confirm steps will not happen anymore. So your wallets will be getting an update, and they will make it so you only need to sign the transaction once to get something to happen instead of doing it twice. Now, PECTRA reduces how many clicks it takes to do what you want, but it doesn't actually make things happen faster. So as far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, so someone correct me if I am, but what will happen is, you will press the button to confirm in your wallet, and then in the background, what will happen is it will do each action step by step. So it might take 24 seconds instead of 12 seconds. I really should find that out, actually. Yeah. the way I understood it is that the approval will still happen as one transaction, and then once that's confirmed, then the wallet will automatically do the swap or the stake or the deposit or whatever it is as a second transaction. It's just you won't feel it, so it might make it look a little bit slower, feel a little bit slower, but I think the case is going to be that, like, you won't have to wait for that pop-up on your wallet or whatever to happen for you to know that, your transactions are going through. It'll just happen a much more smooth way. Now, what's really interesting is a lot of people laud the user experience of other blockchains and say how amazing they are. And one of the things that people frequently point to is this approve, confirm two-step transactions instead of just pressing the button and it happening in one step. Now, what we'll see is that you can that'll be abstracted away in the wallet. So what I really want to see is wallets coming out on day one with the functionality of being able to use this smart wallet functionality. I put out a tweet the other day, but no one replied to me. I tagged Rainbow and Rabby and MetaMask, three of the biggest hot wallets on Ethereum, saying, hey guys, what are your plans for PECTRA on day one? And no one replied to me because I'm a small fish. So if anyone knows what their plans are for day one, then please let me know and I'll put it in tomorrow's episode. But I'm really hoping that these wallets integrate these features as soon as possible. The spec for this EIP has been out for months, so there really should be no reason why there's not updated. But yeah, definitely keep an eye open for that and update your wallets basically. And that's for everyone. So this is a change that everyone will see. Then the smart wallets, this is smart wallets just used to hold keys. Now they get a brain. So your wallet will act like a smart contract. You can batch transactions, skip approval pop-ups, pay gas in any token, less friction, more freedom, more possibilities. So a lot of the things will happen in the background. This is what it means by account abstraction. On the front, you'll see things really simply, and on the back end, there'll be the more complex things that are happening. Now, cheaper transactions, this is for layer 2s mostly. So if you transact on layer 2s, what you'll notice now is that, there's 3 blobs that go through every block every 12 seconds. And with that's the target with capacity up to 6. Well, that is changing with PECTRA to have 6 blobs go through every block and up to 9. So the target limit is being increased as well. So what will happen is fees should come down by 50% because capacity is doubling. I think that's going to get it eaten up really, really quickly. Blobs have been burning gas. They're pretty much the number one burner of gas on Ethereum for the last 7 days, 30 days, these timeframes. As the blob count goes up, the price will stay less for longer, and that just means more people are going to use them, and then they'll pay more for gas. So it might be that the burning of gas on layer 1 from blob fees goes down for a few days or weeks until the layer 2 communities get kind of up to date with the new limits that they have. But once that goes through, then they're going to be burning so much gas. So that's going to be awesome. With staking, what will happen is there's some stuff happening for staking. So if you are a node operator and if you are a solo staker, and currently what will happen is you might have 132 ETH validator. As the rewards come through, you take those off the top, but you have to do something with that ETH. It's not going to be yielding anything. It's not going to be actively staked. With PECTRA, what will happen is you can start compounding your staking rewards, which is a huge boost. And this is actually really, really cool. I really like this idea. What will happen is the minimum amount of ETH you need in your validator will stay the same as it currently is at 32 ETH. However, the upper limit will change. Currently, the minimum and maximum are both set to 32 ETH. That's the exact amount at which you are earning rewards. And that's the only amount that is earning rewards for you. With PECTRA, what will happen is that your minimum will stay at 32, your maximum will go to 2,048. So what will happen here is that you will start compounding rewards as you earn them, because that is effective. So right now, this is not going to make much of a difference for the really big actors, because they, as they're earning thousands of ETH in rewards, they can stake their rewards as they're coming in. So they keep that, the compounding nature of their rewards. However, for small people like for me and you and many of us, what happens is that ETH just doesn't come in fast enough for us to compound it. We have to think of other things to do with it, like either using it for DeFi, swapping it for an LST or anything like that. Well, now what will happen is, if you're a solo staker, then you will start compounding those rewards. That is not going to be in effect for Rocket Pool yet. It should come later, but at the moment it's not going to. Faster deposit recognition, smart contract enabled withdrawals. That's execution layer sorry, that's smart contract enabled rewards, about the way that you can claim your tokens as well. So there's less overhead, more control for validators and stakers, which of course is really cool. And then there's unlocking $490 billion of potential, and that's how much the asset secures right now. But too often this value sits locked behind clunky user experience. PECTRA changes that, makes these assets easy to move, use, and experience. And then there's upgraded decentralized network that secures billions, like swapping an airplane mid-flight. And then PECTRA is Ethereum, remembering what it's for, not just for resilience, not just for scale, it's for users, for the world. So this is very much a user-facing update. And it's going to be great. So I think users at different levels will be able to pull out different things from this. For the regular user who just wants to transact on chain, the wallet functionality changing is going to be great. A lot of people are using L2s for their transactions. You're going to find the prices will come down until they get saturated again. For stakers and node operators, you'll start making more money, which of course is really nice to see. So we mentioned that there was a Nethermind stream earlier. There's also going to be this other stream from the Ethereum Foundation. This is going to be run with ETHStaker, and there's going to be Anthony Sassano from Daily Gwei on there. There's also going to be people from Bankless. I think David Hoffman is going to be on there, and a whole bunch of other people in the Ethereum community whose faces you probably recognize, like Fizz and others. So I think Nick saw as well from the Ethereum Foundation, who used to be with ETHStaker. So you'll see a lot of familiar faces. This is the live stream that I'll be tuning in for. It will be starting at 5:15 a.m. Eastern time. So yay, nice early start for me tomorrow. But this is going to be one of the streams available, so you can watch everything happen in real time. There's going to be really smart people on that stream who will explain to you what is going on and how everything is working and how everything is looking. But yeah, it's going to be really, 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 really cool to see, and I'm really excited about it. And if some of you out there are like kind of hardcore data tracker people, then there's going to be this dashboard, PECTRA.info, that's created, and here you'll be able to get all this different information about PECTRA. I think you'll also be able to see things on the Beacon Chain dashboard as well that people will probably be referring to a lot during the live streams and checking out that data. So yeah, there's this dashboard you can have a look at and find out what's going on. But it's all looking pretty good. So yay, PECTRA, happy hard fork day. The next time I see you will be post PECTRA, so we'll have analysis of how it all went and what kind of things are already showing up or what's not showing up. So there's going to be a lot of cool things to talk about during that. Okay, let's go to some Rocket Pool news, and the main update today is from SignalXU. So SignalXU is the person managing the STAR program, saying, hey community, we just upgraded the STAR Notion collaboration page. New subdomain is now rocketpool.notion.site. There's the URL is a little bit more complex than that, and says which feels a bit more official and aligned with the Rocket Pool brand. If you're looking for an easy way to get involved in Rocket Pool's growth efforts, STAR is a great place to start. This is the program where people in the community go out into the world and convince protocols that have treasuries in ETH or other crypto to move their treasury across to our ETH instead of being in whatever coins they have. So but there's a lot of incentives involved for the people who like do the convincing, but it's really cool that this is happening. And then here there's the intro to STAR, so you can get that information on the page, what leads are available, what resources they're available, like templates, pitch decks and useful materials, and incentives. Learn what kind of money you can make as well. So if you have any questions or need help getting started, feel free to DM SignalXU anytime. But yeah, this page actually looks really nice now. This definitely had a glow up, which is awesome to see. So it says, this is designed for business to business focused growth initiative, and there's information about how to get on board, the progress of the program, the success stories like ENS, Aave, etc., and a whole lot of information here as well. So if you want to get involved with STAR, which I highly recommend you do, this is the place to go and have a look at that. Okay, we've got... My computer is being really slow, sorry. Okay, we've got an update from the NodeSet vault, their private vault on Stakewise, and there's some interesting information here where people are now starting to deposit their ETH. They currently have 3,462 ETH deposited. The APY they are earning is 2.43%. So it's a little bit on the low side, but that is because they haven't had that enough of a period to earn the rewards to show up in the statistics, and they haven't had a full period worth of performance as well for it to show you what kind of performance they're getting. But here you can see the rewards that are coming in. They also have things like the balance and how that's changing over weeks and months. And then you can see that the APY has kind of zigzagged up a little bit, but it's kind of at that 2.5% mark at the moment. What I really wanted to show you guys was these deposits that are coming through are now starting to use the boost functionality of the deposit. So here you can see stake, and this is like 212 ETH came through, and then that went to 182 ETH. That was the OS ETH mint, and then there was also a 35.5 ETH worth of boost. So that is really pushing the collateral amounts up, and it looks like this is going to lead to huge growth for NodeSet. They're saying that they've got hundreds of thousands of ETH worth of commitments for deposits into their protocol. Once that goes through, I think, with that boost functionality, it's going to end up being a huge amount of TVL increase for Stakewise overall. And it looks like OS ETH is going to get a big boost in that TVL there as well, like the amount of OS ETH that is out in the world. And it's a private pool as well. So it looks like the people who are depositing into this are all known from NodeSet, and they've all been vetted. And there's going to be a public pool later as well, but this is not there yet. Now, what came here is an update from Wanda, and Wanda said that the assets are sitting in their vault without being deployed. So they're going to increase the max validator count for the private vault very soon. And if you don't already have a validator running, something is wrong with your node, reach out to node operators for support if this is the case. So yeah, if you don't have validator running, then reach out like it says. But otherwise, I think everyone should have gotten a validator already. And I don't think there's enough ETH in there to have been matched to everyone. So it seems like there's a bunch of people who have some kind of configuration issue with their node, and I am one of those people. So after I finish recording, I'm going to be reaching out to the node operators thread and trying to figure out why my validators aren't running, because I'm generating my keys and all that kind of stuff, but hopefully it should be running soon. Okay, we got news here from Beaver Build, and this was actually really interesting, but something that's awesome. So Ethereum has really good decentralization when it comes to node operators. We've got thousands of node operators who are running machines at home or managing it themselves in data centers. Like, they're managing the keys like from front to end, like front to back, everything. They're doing it themselves. They're just hosting it at a data center, for the hardware. But with thousands of those, Ethereum is by far the most decentralized network when it comes to node operators. Now, there are a couple of things that have happened in Ethereum over the years where block building kind of got outsourced a little bit to MEV Boost, which is software created by Flashbots. And what has happened is that this is made up with groups of people called relays and builders. And there were some worries about how centralized the relays and builders were, with the amount that they are the levels to which they're decentralized kind of fluctuated, but it was an area of worry a little bit. So here there's some really interesting news coming out of Beaver Build, who are one of the biggest builders. They're announcing that they're deprecating their existing block builder, and they're going to start participating in Flashbots' BuilderNet in an effort to make Ethereum block building decentralized, uncensorable, and neutral. So what was happening is there were these OFAC sanctions that the US government placed on Tornado Cash, and a bunch of node operators were blocking those transactions on their nodes, but also relays and builders were doing some censoring there as well. And node operators had the option to either use censoring relays or non-censoring relays. But what's happening here, the relays were decent, had a good mix basically, so it wasn't causing too much of a problem, but the building was leaning too much towards the censoring that people were comfortable with, and that obviously is not a good look. But some of the builders, like here Beaver Build is currently building 40% of Ethereum blocks, so for them to move towards a uncensorable and neutral block building, this is a huge step towards Ethereum getting even more decentralized. So this is awesome to see. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that this is going ahead, and I'm really hoping that even more of the block building, relays, all this kind of stuff, all the infrastructure will get decentralized further towards a maximally decentralized world. But yeah, this is definitely good news. Oh, sorry, I had the same link open twice. Okay, ZKsync is one of the bigger L2s rollups. It's different from Optimism and Arbitrum in that it doesn't use optimistic fraud proofs, it uses zero knowledge fraud proofs, and it has lost mindshare. Like, in all honesty, like over the last couple of years, they had a fairly successful farming campaign or incentives program, points system, whatever you want to call it, that, like, I think meant that there was TVL and activity on ZKsync. However, in the last few months, activity has dropped off considerably, so much so that people in other ecosystems were kind of mocking ZKsync, saying that the token is worth so much, and you guys were lauding it as the big thing, and no one's using ZKsync. I think there's power law dynamics at play where the bigger the L2 is, the more likely they are to stay dominant, and it's really difficult for smaller challenges basically to gain mindshare and gain TVL and control. At the moment, it looks like most of Ethereum's L2 activity takes place on Base, of course, and Arbitrum. That's where the most TVL is. Most activity tends to be there too, with others like long tail kind of plodding along at the moment. But ZKsync, that you might not have thought of ZKsync for a while, but they are still building. They are actually taking huge steps in the real world assets arena with I think some partnerships coming out of German banks, if I remember correctly. But they're getting real world assets on chain. In fact, they've got billions of dollars worth of real world assets on chain now. And here they had a huge update where they celebrate a big milestone. ZKsync is now fully EVM equivalent. So what this means is that if you are building on ZKsync, it's now easier than before. So there's no need to modify test suites or deployment scripts, with all EVM tooling working right out of the box. So instead of Solk Foundry, ZKsync, and Hardhat Foundry, you can just use Solk Foundry and Hardhat. Now, those are operating systems, software systems that you can just use straight away. It says the token assembly approval approved the EVM interpreter through governance in the ZKsync improvement proposal 9, and full equivalence is part of the protocol version 27 upgrade, and you can start doing that. Someone said the real test is going to be deploying a safe and making sure that you get the same contract address on that you do on mainnet there as well. So that's going to be one to look out for. But yeah, this is a big step. So they said that this is just the first step, and they are trying to forge a different path, and they've been building for the future of Ethereum and the EVM, with more news coming soon. So yeah, this just makes it a lot easier to deploy your contracts that you have on mainnet onto ZKsync. So it might mean that you'll start seeing some of the bigger apps that were not on ZKsync before but were on mainnet or optimistic chains could now be brought over to mainnet. So yeah, interesting stuff. Okay, I'm going to finish this episode today with some controversy kind of out of the Unchained ecosystem, and like how people are kind of bristling at Laura Shin and Unchained. So this has been ongoing for quite a while, but there was this post that came out a couple of days ago, yesterday, sorry, about so yeah, the article here is about Michael Saylor copycats, copying the strategy playbook of issuing debt to buy Bitcoin, and it's saying now this is happening for Solana as well, and can lightning strike twice. So it says with the Bitcoin treasury company market getting crowded, companies are extended the strategy playbook to Solana. So this is written by Stephen Elrich, and what's really interesting here is that there were a bunch of digs at Ethereum in this. So here this person saying that Solana had a super 2024, is rapidly gaining against Ethereum, second largest blockchain with a $220 billion valuation, which has been beset by political infighting and stagnant growth. And then saying that the difference between the two blockchains is still relatively high, 143 billion. The gap is the narrowest it's been since November 2022. At that point, Solana was nadir as the asset had collapsed to a market capitalization of just 4.5 billion following the collapse of FTX and Fanboy Sam Bankman-Fried. But anyway, over here, they're comparing data between Ethereum and Solana and saying like, according to Electric Capital in 2024, Solana increased its developer count by 83%. By contrast, Ethereum lost 22% of its developers. Another thing here they're saying is that Solana's transaction cost, like it just means that you can do everything in one wallet and everything is on one layer. But Solana is like cheap and lightning quick, but transaction Ethereum cost $1. And other growing narratives about how Ethereum is not guaranteed to be the number 2 blockchain anymore, etc., and how that is all kind of playing together. So what's really interesting to me was this great criticism about this article that came out from William here, and he says the real truth about Ethereum. He says a real recent Unchained article about Solana's alleged foray into treasuries need to be fact-checked and rebutted with truth. Is lazy reporting to regurgitate what they tell you without checking facts. So about Solana, the natural successor to Bitcoin for being basis of treasury holding. So here William says that this is wishful. If you look at Wall Street and institutional adoption by looking at things like EthereumAdoption.com, what you'll see is that Ethereum is absolutely thriving and growing massively. More stable coins, more treasuries, more of everything is on Ethereum than anywhere else, including Solana. And then this number about the developer count changing so much. And William says that, these numbers seem made up, but not only that, but like when you try to look at how they came with their numbers, it was a single month snapshot of July 2024. And he says large percentages on small numbers are good for headline. But the fact is that Solana attracted 19% new developers in July 2024, so that was a narrow snapshot. But Ethereum's ecosystem as a whole grew a lot more than that, and it's still the number 1 ecosystem by far for developer count. Ethereum cannot be attacked based on L1 solely. It's an ever-expanding network of EVM chains, just the internet, blah, blah, blah as well. And then the key reason mentioned by investors for this growth surge include a more user-friendly onboarding process for developers, and Solana actually has a notoriously difficult onboarding process, and Ethereum's EVM has like nearly a decade based of tooling and support in terms of libraries and all that kind of stuff available. So yeah, and then with L2 teams as well that are building on that stuff as well. So there's other comments here about transaction fees about on Solana versus L2s and how they're much cheaper on L2s. So it's like, yeah. Anyway, here William then just goes on talking about Ethereum being the place where the number 2 basically blockchain where things are happening. So again, he says that like if you look at Ethereum adoption, it's all happening on Ethereum. If you look at strategic reserve, there's nearly over $1 billion worth of companies saying that they're holding ETH as a strategic reserve. That's 10 times more than the $100 million that these Sol companies have taken in. That's baby money, basically. Another thing that was brought up in the article was about Solana's high yield, staking yield at 7%, which in context is actually like a real yield of around 2.2% because the inflation is so high, whereas Ethereum has a real yield of about 3% because the inflation is pretty much zero because of it being so low to begin with, and also then being negated by the burn. So people were like, yeah, William, great stuff, like you told them. Gabriel here actually had a really interesting point. He said that, Laura Shin, we expect your recent unfair negative slant against Ethereum to end. You built your career on Ethereum coverage and are damaging a lot of the goodwill and credibility you built on the ecosystem. Yeah, and then Laura Shin actually got in back and forth with Gabriel, talking about like the whole article is more like has more information, and Gabriel says actually like the negative slant has been noticed by many, topic of conversations that I've been part in, like just wording of tweets and all sorts of things like that. And she said she's not anti-ETH but or pro Sol, and she thinks they're both promising in different ways, etc. So this is like kind of an interesting discussion that happened, but I think people have noticed this, and some of the things way that she kind of angles her tweets or angles her shows kind of show this. And one of the things that happened today was really interesting. interesting in that there was a new episode out on Unchained, and this was saying Ethereum's finally pivoting, gas limit 100x simpler L1 and rethinking the EVM, but can it fix its tokenomics, developer bleed, and roll up chaos in time? And the people that she had on this episode were Max Resnick, who is a huge Ethereum critic, and for right or wrong, like it's like what are you doing with Max Resnick on there, right? Like there's far better people that you could have had on there. Like there's automatically like a negative bias against Ethereum with that. So yeah, this is ongoing drama. People are definitely noticing it, but I'm going to be interesting to see where it goes and whether Laura defending herself is going to keep happening. But on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocketfuel community. Good luck with PECTRA tomorrow for all of us. And I'll be giving an update of that in tomorrow's episode. And I'll see you then. Bye.